Hi guys, we are here today with Leonardo Fioravanti, the professional Italian surf who is leading the current 2022 Challenger Series. Leo, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
No worries. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. I just came in from the water. I still got my sunscreen on, but I'm glad I was able to meet with you and you guys and do this.
Nice. Where are you now?
I'm in France, in the southwest of France, in this place called Hossegor, which is the center of European surfing. And this is where, in between events, I am based off. My family is here, and this was where I spend the most time in between events.
Nice, amazing. Just want to start about like what was it like growing up in Italy, like as a surfer kid. Like since Italy, when we are talking, when it comes about surfing, it's not like the most traditional country, right? So how was it?
Of course. Starting to surf in Italy was very different than than many other countries, surf countries that Brazilians or Australians or Americans. First of all, the waves are inconsistent. You don't surf every day. The surf scene when I started, we had. So I grew up going to this beach club called Ocean Surf. The owners were surfers. My parents did not surf, but there was a little bit of a surfing vibe, which was very unusual in Italy. And with my brother Matteo, who's 7 years older than me, he was already surfing a little bit, and I started surfing with him and his friends, and absolutely, loved the sport. And that's all I wanted to do. That's all I begged my parents to do. Any holidays we had, I would say, please, let's go somewhere so we can surf. And I was basically a surfer boy in Italy, and um, that's how I kind of started, and then drifted, into spending much more time here in Hostigor, where there was a bit more sponsors and there was a bit more of a surf
Yeah, I,
scene. I
I
was
was
able
about
to,
to ask you that. Like,
yeah.
when did you move to France? Like, it was like
So
I think it's there that like you improved as a surfer, right?
exactly, yeah. So I started coming here since I was 6, 7 years old, and then when I was about 10, 11 years old, with my mother, we she moved away from Italy to be with me over here. Um, and we basically moved here when I was about 10, 11 years old. We used to spend the summers, and went from 3 months to spending 6, 7 months over here, and the rest kind of just traveling between Hawaii, Australia. I was lucky enough to have Quicksilver and Red Bull as a sponsor from a very young age, that they basically let me live my dream, but also gave me the perfect path to achieve, to become a professional surfer.
Nice. And then of course we know about like your path, like in the surfing world, about the QS, your rookie year. But talking about like a bad moment of your life and career, I think that injury in 2015, we could say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the worst moment, right, in your career and like maybe of your life. What
Yeah,
what
for
what
sure.
was like it was in pipeline, right?
That was in pipeline, and that was a moment where I was 17 years old. So you're kind of going from being a grom to being, an adult. You're starting, I was starting to compete with the big boys. And the year before that, when I was 16, I was close to qualifying for the world tour, which I would have been way too young. I would have been the youngest to ever do it, but I would have been too young, not prepared enough for the world tour. And so 2015, I was 17 years old. I was really excited for the year and the first event at Pipeline. I had a really bad wipeout, broken back. That was tough. Broken back. It took me 6 months to recover. I had to get multiple surgeries, um, put some pins in my back, take them out after 4 months. But in saying that, it was the toughest moment I've ever had in my career. But it also made me who I am today. It really taught me that things are not easy, that you will not just achieve anything. Things will not just come to you. Things will happen. There will be obstacles always. And not only I've had so many obstacles in my life, in my career, and I was always able to overcome it. And I think that's a lot to do, of course, with who I am, but with that injury in 2015, I learned so much.
Nice. And then of course, like you start to to improve as a surfer and to be on the events. Do you remember actually like your first ever hit in the tour? Not like as a rookie or maybe I think it was like a wild card, right?
Yeah,
Do you
so my
remember that?
first
Do you remember
ever.
the feeling of being there?
Yeah, so I was 15 years old. I just won the European Under 21 WSL Championships. And during the Quicksilver Pro here in France, a bunch of people were getting injured. And so there was a spot that opened up last minute. And I was so surprised because, I was very young. I was like, wow, am I really going to do my first World Tour event already? And it was pretty much out front of my house, which was, amazing to be able to compete right in front of where we lived. And it was an incredible moment. I was against Mick Fanning and Chloe Andino. And my very first wave was an 8.9. I ended up getting second in that heat, not making the heat, but just to be able to get an excellent score to compete against Mick Fanning, which is one of the best surfers of all time. Straight away, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I want to keep doing. I want to secure my spot here one day.
Nice. Just jump into this season now that we are. So you had like two great performances in Australia. You are leading the Challenger Series. So I think like you are very confident in like requalifying for 2023. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, the position I'm in today is a good position. Of course, I would have preferred to make the cut to being on the world tour and not making the cut. That sucked this year, but that's only my fault. I didn't perform the best way possible, and that cut was very tough. But bouncing back with the Challenger Series and finding myself now in a good position to requalify. Of course, it's really it's a really good position to be in, and yes, I feel super confident to be back straight away next year. But and obviously I'm a very competitive surfer, and I would prefer to be already on tour than this. But I'm not gonna back down from a fight like I've never done, and I'm gonna give it my best to be back on the world tour. Hopefully by the end of the year.
Nice. Yeah, and I was about to ask you about like this mid-year cut. Like, so what are your thoughts on that? Like from my perspective, I think like most surfers didn't like it, right? Like, because it's
So
it is difficult for those like who are on the tour, right? Like, as you have like
I mean,
fewer chances and events to keep their spot, and even difficult for the ones who are trying to come from the challenger because like you are like doing this mini tour with top surfers. So what's your thoughts on that?
yeah. So a lot of surfers disagree with this mid-year cut. Um, I understand in a way the decision that WSL made. I understand they want to try and make halfway through the year more exciting, but I don't think it's fair to the surfers, especially someone who just qualified on the world tour. You deserve to express yourself in 10 events. Every location in the world, it's a world tour, so you deserve to go to every single event. There's some events that, I consider myself that I'm, it's better for my surfing. Some events that, maybe I'm not as good in those conditions. But if you give me the 10 events, I'm confident enough that I will be requalifying and hopefully even make the top 10. And not to get that chance of the whole year, it's definitely shitty. But in saying that, if I made one more heat anywhere, I would have made the cut. So okay, it's also my fault for not performing, like I said, as well as I wanted to, as I was, hoping to. But for sure, there's ways of looking at it, but I just don't think it's fair for a surfer. I don't think it's completely fair for a surfer.
Yeah, completely agree with you.
And also,
Just talking now
the
about like a little
prize.
bit about. No, go ahead, go ahead,
Sorry,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. The prize money on the Challenger Series is very
No,
low.
no.
Is super low. So the prize money on the Challenger Series, um, you don't make much money. So if the Challenger Series was closer prize money to the World Tour, then maybe it would make sense because okay, you know what, like um, you fall off the World Tour, but you're still into a Challenger Series, which is a tour where you can sustain yourself, where you're still gonna make money. Then the level is super high. So okay, but if the prize money is still on the Challenger Series, you're basically betting on yourself to be on tour next year to make money, but you're most likely wasting money during the Challenger Series unless you're making the quarters or semifinals every single event.
Yeah, and we are talking about like long trips, right? They're always like selling this surfing lifestyle, like the dream tour. But when it comes to money, to arrange like tickets and where to stay, the travels, like it's a lot of money, right? That you need to attend
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Big investment.
Okay, and now like just talking a little bit about Olympics as well. So you were there, right? Tokyo 2020, which was 2021 because of the pandemic. So how was like the experience of like to live to participate in the Olympics, to have the chance to be there, first time ever for the sport?
I think Tokyo was an incredible experience. I think COVID made it, different experience because there was no public, which that was, that sucked a little bit. But saying that, feeling the Olympic spirit, going to the Olympic Village, meeting all, there was the Italian building, the Brazilian building, the Australian building. You walk around, you see every best athlete in the world, walking across the street and just around you, feeling that energy. The ceremony, the opening ceremony was insane, and that whole experience was amazing. Where the event was a little bit outside Tokyo. They had an incredible setup, but there was no public because of COVID. So it just felt like a little bit we were just doing a simple world tour event like any other one, and it was hard to imagine it being the Olympics because the public wasn't there because it was hard to get that vibe where we were an hour away from Tokyo. But it's an experience that I'll remember forever, and I can't wait for the next Olympics to compete in them and hopefully perform much better and maybe take away a medal for Italy.
Yeah, that's my next question. In fact, like your expectations for 2024. We were talking about fans and public, so I think Chopo is not gonna be like the best place in terms of fans and this kind of stuff. But of course, talking about waves, it would be like one of the best, right?
For sure, Chopu is going to be an exciting one. It's same thing. Unfortunately, we will not feel that Olympic vibe. It will not feel like that Olympic village, that Olympic situation. But at the same time, you're
The
giving up something
atmosphere, right? Yeah.
for the best wave in the world. So we're going to be competing in the best wave in the world. So uh, that's going to be incredible. And I think it's a wave that really suits my surfing. I love getting barreled. It's something that I've always done my whole life, and I think I have a good chance of getting a medal at those Olympics.
Nice, nice one. And talk about the Italian national team. Adriano de Souza is one of the new coaches, the new managers of the team, right? Of course, to start working with juniors and this kind of, but I think he will be involved in the Olympics at some point as well. So, do you have any relation with him? Like, how do you see this, like, to be able to work with Adriano?
Look, I competed with Adriano for many years. Obviously he's been on tour for so many years, but since 2016 that I've been on the world tour, that's already 6 years. So Obviously, Adriano is one of the best, if not the best, competitor of all time. Because to win a world championship the way he did, obviously he was a hard worker. He was always persistent. He always believed in himself. A lot of times when people didn't believe in him, and now him doing that transition into coaching and working for Italy, I'm really excited to see. I don't know how that will play out. Obviously, he has the knowledge. Will he be able to teach that knowledge to the younger generation of Italian surfing? Maybe share that knowledge with me. Um, we will see. I had a little bit of a chat to him. I think it's a really smart move from the Italian Federation, and I hope that he can, help everybody out, from the next generation to myself, and yeah, I really hope it'll be a good journey for us and him as well.
Nice. One last question about the Olympics and like the surfing part of our talk here. So we see like we saw like changes like starting in 18, 19 maybe. So Kanoa started competing for Japan, Tachi Western Web like for Brazil, and now for instance like we have Gessé competing for Italy. Of course, this is completely related to Olympics. How do you see these changes? Because like of course like it will like maybe it could affect you directly, right? As like you're gonna be now like maybe fighting for a spot against Jesse, let's say that way.
Um, you know, Kanoa has Japanese parents, so that's an understandable. He speaks perfectly Japanese. Um, some people made the decision purely on Olympics. Um, Honestly, even just that, going to the Italian Federation, there's always going to be two spots to qualify for the Olympics. So from each country. So yes, it could affect me a little bit, but honestly, I don't feel like it'll have an effect on myself. I'm confident that I will qualify for the Olympics with or without Giselle. Um, I think it's pretty cool. For him to make that move. It'll definitely bring some talent to the Italian surfing and more hopes of a medal for Italian surfing, which is great. And yeah, it's a decision that those surfers made, and if they're happy with it, then like I said, it's their decision. It's not none of us to judge or um, to comment or as long as they're proud to represent it. As long as Jesse is proud to represent Italy, then I'm happy for him to represent Italy.
Just want to ask you about a couple of things of surfing. So we were talking before that do you speak five languages, right? How
Yes.
did it happen? Like I mean, English, French, and Italian. Like it's obvious, but what about like the Spanish and especially Portuguese?
So Spanish. Sorry. So yeah, Spanish. Where we live in the southwest of France, Spain is only 40 minutes away, so there's a lot of Spanish influence over here. Growing up, a lot of the pro juniors and the young competitions were in Spain. So I've just spent a lot of time with Spanish people, and I've always been a young kid that wanted to learn. So I was never somebody that was trying to be away, not wanting to learn or understand. So that's how I learned Spanish, and then Portuguese. There's so many Brazilian surfers. The world tour obviously has a big dominance in the famous Brazilian storm. And I spent basically 1 week. Uh, I stayed in a house full of Brazilians and literally kind of had to learn Portuguese because I was with Jesse Mendes, with William Cardoso, Victor Bernardo, Jan Gouveia, all those boys. And they were speaking Portuguese to themselves. So if I wanted to understand, I had to learn. And literally during that week, my Portuguese completely evolved. And from there on, I started speaking Portuguese to all the Brazilians, and that's how I speak Portuguese today.
Cool. So next one, you are Inter fan, right? Inter Milano.
Yeah,
So how's your relationship with football?
yeah. So being Italian, obviously, football is a huge part of our life, and I've always loved Inter since I was young, and always supported it. Um, Still today, I try and watch as many soccer games or football games as possible. Every league, I follow the Premier League, Liga 1, La Liga, Serie A. I check out all the results always. I follow, obviously, Champions League. This year, I was so, it was so insane what Benzema did for Real Madrid. And I love the sport. I love watching, and I love, I'm a really good supporter. So I think it motivates me to be a better athlete as well by seeing what those athletes are always doing, and they're always pushing their level and being the best they possibly can.
Nice. So Inter, of course, Inter have like a great history with Brazilian players. Do you have any special memories with any of them, like watching them play?
Yeah, I was. I went to watch Inter Juventus once, and Adriano, l'Imperatore. He was a great great athlete. I think for me, so much talent, and when he was at Inter, he was pretty legendary.
Nice one. And Italy, like no World Cup, right? Second like
Don't even
edition in a
talk to me
row.
about it.
So who will you
It's
who
such
who will you support this year?
it's such BS. Like I don't understand how it's possible that it's we're gonna miss four four eight. We're gonna wait 12 years to watch Italy play in the World Cup. How is that possible?
Yeah,
Like
basically.
you
And
win,
after Euro, right? After winning the Euro.
you win the Euro and then you don't qualify. Like what's going on? Like how is that possible? But I guess I'll have to support. My stepfather is Australian, so I have to support Australia.
Okay, nice one. You also have like we are talking about football, but you also have a special relation with the fashion world, right? Like you are like a Gucci ambassador, right? What's that like?
I was yeah I've been a Gucci ambassador for the last 6 years now, and that's been an incredible journey. It's I think it's an incredible world. There's so much to learn. I think it's really cool how everybody has their own style, how nobody really judges each other. You can wear whatever you want, look like whatever you want to look like, and not worry about what people think of you. And that's what Gucci I think has done so amazing in the last 5 6 years with Marco Bizzarri, Alessandro Michele. Um, they basically made the company so just accessible to everyone and for everyone, and that's what is a big part of their success. So I love the world, and whenever I have time, I love to go to a few of the fashion shows, check them out, meet new people, and be a little bit of part of that world whenever I can.
Nice. No, I think that's it. Just one, like, not like a question for me, but I usually ask the interviewees, like the surfers, to suggest someone to be my next talk, do you know? Do you have like someone in mind to suggest me? Like it could be like a
Sport or
surfer
surfers or
or like it, no, it needs to be related to surf, of course, to the surfing world, but it don't need to be like a surfer. It can be someone from the backstage. I don't know. Anyone that comes to your mind.
that's a good question. Let's see.
Tell me a surfer. Tell me a surfer to make it easy.
I'll
From
give you a
from
surfer.
QS, from Challenger.
Yeah,
Who?
yeah, yeah. Give me a couple because I want to pick a good one. Give me a couple minutes to
Okay, that's fine.
couple
Take your
seconds.
time. Take your time.
Let's see who could be
Uh,
me.
let
Intro.
just one thing, like let's just wait until like you're thinking. Just give me 1 minute, okay? Just keep
Okay.
thinking. So I'm back. This is for you, huh? You see me.
Let's see it. Yeah. Yes. Oh wow! I told you, Adriano, l'imperatore.
Amazing one, huh?
That's really cool.
W-
Wow,
one of my best players ever. Like
for
he
sure.
he he was amazing, amazing
So
one.
much talent.
Do you have someone in mind, like to make it easier for you? Can be like one of your Brazilian friends.
I think you should interview Felipe Toledo. I think Filipino today is in a position that there's a good chance he'll
Felipe.
be world champion for the first time in his career. Felipe, yeah. I think this year is the first, first year
To be
that he
honest,
has a good chance. No,
I
I
would
mean
love
that.
to talk to him. Not the easiest guy to access nowadays, like top one in the world. But yeah, I will make an effort to do it.
I think yeah, he's got some. I think it'll be cool to see what he has to say about Italo and Gabriel and how he can keep up with them and beat them.